There's a decent amount to like about today's Transformers Prime episode, Thirst, but by the end of the episode, I find myself really put off by it. I remember this one very strongly from my first watch through of the show, and I did, as I mentioned before, rewatch all the rest of these episodes fairly recently too, just to kind of refresh my memory because I wanted to watch the show, right? And the first thing that came to mind when I went to rewatch this one was, oh hey, I remember this one. But then by the end I'm like, oh hey, I remember this one. You know what I mean? It starts out really strong with some experiments that Knockout's been doing on Breakdown Silas, and leading to him becoming a energon-eating zombie vampire thing that's very hard to kill, has mutated to have traits that other Transformers don't, and he can pass those traits on to others, turning them into zombie vampire things too. It's not really explained how exactly. Like, it makes sense to a point. They're experimenting on synthetic energon, which gives you strength, but drains your energon reserves very quickly. And dark energon, which makes you undead. It's supposed to give Megatron control of you too, but it's also unpredictable and does weird things. So it makes sense that those two things together would mutate a Transformer into someone with traits that other Transformers don't have, that's basically undead, and that runs through their energon reserves very quickly, so they have to steal energon from others. But none of that explains why those traits would be transferred to others with a bite. Like, why is that the case? But that's beside the point. It's a conceit that we have to accept for what is a really fun episode that it does zombie stuff, but like, it riffs on it to a point. Like, it's still kind of scary. I could see little kids having some fun scares from this episode, but like, it riffs on it a little bit and pokes fun at those tropes in a kid-friendly scares kind of way. And it's a lot of fun. We get to see Knockout and Starscream interacting, and they're some of the best characters. And like, I like them as characters, so I want them to survive this. And Megatron's reactions to everything when he finds out are absolutely hilarious. Like, he just seems so done with the whole situation. But then the episode brings in an element that I just can't bring myself to care about anymore. Not just because I've gotten kind of tired of it, regardless of how interesting it was to start, but also because it doesn't make sense that that element would still be in play in the first place. And that's why this review is going super fast, because I just don't want to talk about this. And it's the Diracted comes back. As Silas is zombieing around, looking for energon to consume, he comes to her stasis pod, opens it so he can try to feed on her, and they have another fight, and she kills Silas. She kills Breakdown again, not realizing that it's Silas. And Silas actually gets released from this hell of being used as an experiment. Like, as a guinea pig for experiments. And honestly, I kind of felt for him in the end. Like, even he didn't really deserve that, I don't think. And like, the entire tone of the episode just changes. Like, oh, Arachnid's here, the episode's about her now. And like, I like Arachnid, she's a great villain, but one of the reasons that made sense to sideline her when they did is because they'd done basically everything with her that they could. She had been a fantastic enemy for RC, but RC had grown past the need for that nemesis. And then she tried to backstab the Decepticons and take control of the Decepticons, and that was cool, but she lost. And she's not as fun a character as Starscream, so I want him to stick around and maybe keep doing that. I don't particularly care if she does, though, because she's just going to do it the same way over again. There's not much depth to her character, there's not much variety or nuance to it, as fun as she can be. So when she gets released and the episode suddenly becomes all about her, I lose interest. But what's even more egregious than all of that is, after she takes control of the Insecticons again, and runs off with them, trying again to overthrow Megatron, only to be sent off to, it looked like one of Cybertron's moons, by Soundwave doing the space bridge banish thing he does all the time. It turns out that during her fight with Silas, she did get bitten, And even though all of her energon wasn't drained, and I thought that was a prerequisite for the infection, she's infected now too, and so the Insecticons follow her. And she's feeding on them one by one. The implication being that she's turning them all into Insecticon, Terracon vampires. Which sounds really cool. Like Arachnid as an Insecticon vampire who doesn't have zombie brain, surrounded by zombie-brained Terracon Insecticons that she can control because she's their queen. That sounds terrifying. And like a fantastic new way to use the character. And then the show ended before they did anything with it. It's a fantastic cliffhanger that got me interested in a character I was kind of meh about at this point, all over again, but I know nothing's going to come of it. So it doesn't matter. Like, I even looked it up, and I guess there's one appearance of her in the comics or something that takes place after this, but it's like super minor from what I understand. So like, yeah, they just entirely dropped the concept of this character. And I get that this was the final season, but I have to imagine that when they were in production of these episodes, they knew that there was a good chance this was going to be the final season. So why would they try to, I don't know, bait a sequel to this episode like this? All it was going to end up doing was risk disappointing fans. Like, it's implied that she's bitten. There's one moment where you're like, oh, she might have just been bitten. They didn't have to show us that end bit. If they had gotten another episode with her, if they had gotten another season and gotten the chance to do another episode with her, they could have revealed that she had been bitten then. I don't know, it turns what was a really fun episode into something that just, it ends on a fart of disappointment. I don't like it. I'm actually super curious to know what the rest of the fandom thinks of this episode and of this cliffhanger. Because, like, I can't imagine a world where I found this cliffhanger interesting with this being the final season. I think what bothers me about it the most, though, like, I complain a lot about how the characters in this show make really stupid decisions that they only seem to make because the plot said so. Why is she still alive? Like, I know she was in stasis and couldn't really do anything to anybody, but why? Knowing that she's kind of treacherous, at the very least kind of treacherous. And if they're going to keep her in stasis anyway, so it's not like Megatron wants to make use of her, it's not like he needs her for anything, why wouldn't he just kill her? Wouldn't that be the safer option? Like, yeah, he's been keeping Starscream around, but Starscream's a simp. Like he wants to be in control, but he really enjoys polishing Megatron's boots. It's like his fetish or something. Apologize for all the fetish talk in my kid's show review, but you get my point. He kind of comes off like that, right? Like he gets a kick out of it. And Megatron knows that. He knows he can use that to control him. Arachnid can't be controlled. That's like a main facet of her character, so why would he keep her online? Even if she is in stasis. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that she would still be there alive for this to happen in the first place. But that's nitpicky. I don't know, I think this whole review is a little nitpicky. I liked how the episode was going before she came into play. I thought it was better, and I thought the whole change of vibe that came with her release just kind of ruined the whole thing for me. Like her finishing off Silas. Like, I guess it was pathetic to a point because she's the one who killed Breakdown in the first place. But, like, it felt like, I don't know, unearned. I feel like the characters who started this should have had to resolve it. As I said, though, I'm super interested to hear what the viewers of this video think of this particular episode. So, what do you think of the Transformers Prime episode Thirst, if you have seen it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, you might as well like and subscribe and share the video with anyone else who you think would enjoy my content. You can also check out links to my various social medias, as well as many ways you can help out the channel. Those will be in the video description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.